Hey guys, welcome back to Paige in the Chapter, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Paige and this week we are going to be in Epcot. So my book's in the other room. We are starting off with Send Nudes. I started this at the end of the last vlog, but I had only read one of the short stories in this short story collection, and then I decided to wrap it up and do this park by park. So in this video we will be reading Send Nudes, then I will be randomizing a mood read pick. I know how I'm going to do it, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, and then I can't remember what my last prompt is, but obviously we will be doing it this week and we will get to it. This is like a 200-page short story collection, so I think I'll be able to get this finished by the end of the day. I'm going to do a little bit more reading of it now. I didn't get as much reading done as I wanted to, because I started my lunch break off with having to give Marvin a very impromptu bath because he was very naughty out in the garden. So yeah, have literally like only just sat down for my lunch break. I'm only getting like half a lunch break now because this is the face of someone who was naughty. No, you don't give me kisses now. Don't give me kisses now. So yeah, we'll be starting off with this. If you guys enjoy seeing my vlogs and you would like to see more magical Hopathon vlogs or just general reading vlogs in the future, then do please feel free to hit that big red subscribe button down below. Stay tuned for future content, and yeah, let's get reading for the Epcot prompts. Apologies if you can hear Marvin panting in the back, we've just been playing fetch. But I am 74 pages into Send Nudes. I've read a couple of these short stories now, and I'm not really enjoying it. I think it's like objectively a good little short story collection, and I do ultimately place the blame on myself for me not enjoying this, because I feel like I just didn't really look into the types of stories that these are. They are really like resonating with me in the sense of like they're making me feel very like down about the world and experiencing the world as a woman, but like not even as a woman, like just the experience of these specific characters is making me feel very like down, slightly anxious, very like pessimistic, and I just don't really want to be feeling like that in a Disney World like themed readathon. But it's such a short book and it fits the prompt so well that I am gonna finish it, especially because I do feel like the fact the stories are eliciting this kind of emotion, and that's like the whole point, like they are eliciting the emotion that they set out to elicit, so they're like objectively probably pretty good. I just don't like to read dark stuff. Like you won't catch me reading thrillers or like anything where like horrible things happen to people. Like I like my silly little romances, and the most I can like, the most I've ever gone in terms of like dark horrible things happening is like the Poppy War series. And like this says, in 10 dazzling stories, Saba Sams dives into the world of girlhood and immerses us in its contradictions and complexities. And like from that I expected it to be a mix of like good and bad things. It says, threading between clubs at closing time, pub toilets, drenched music festivals and beach holidays, these unforgettable short stories deftly chart the treacherous terrain of growing up, of intense friendships, of ambivalent mothers, of uneasily blended families, and of learning to truly live in your own body. Like from that it sounded like there would be hints of positivity throughout it. Like I was expecting coming of age short stories, and I knew that there would be the hardships of girlhood in these. Like I expected that, but I just don't think I was anticipating them being quite as dark and doom and gloom as they are. Like I really thought there would be something uplifting to it as well, and maybe like I'll get there. I haven't read all of them yet, so it's hard to say, but right now this is just like why I'm not enjoying the short stories that I have read so far. Maybe it will get there, and also if I do end up not enjoying the book, I feel like it's ultimately my fault because I just misunderstood what I was gonna get out of this. I didn't look at reviews, like I just read the blurb and I thought it sounded like it could be kind of uplifting, and so I just misunderstood. But I'm gonna continue reading some more of this now. I really want to finish this tonight just so I can A, move on because I don't want to read it anymore, and like B, just keep on top of the progress for the magical Hopathon, because I really want to finish my TBR early so I can go back and do some more prompts. I really want to get moving on this book, so I'll catch up with you guys once I've made a decent dent. I'm hoping to finish it tonight, as I said, but hopefully update you at around the 150 page mark, and we'll check in again to see if my opinion has like changed on these stories. Okay, I reached the 150 page mark and I think I'm enjoying it more. I think the stories have become more lighthearted, but I also think that I might just be really dumb and I'm not getting them. Like, I kind of get the gist of them, kind of, but also I definitely think that I'm missing so much like clever stuff that's in the stories. And like there's one that made me cringe so hard that it hurt. The like title story of the book, Send Nudes, that one I found quite uplifting. That one was very much about a woman's relationship with her body and I enjoyed that. I still feel like all the stories are coming from the position of everything sucks and is doom and gloom, which I don't love. I really would have loved a slight, like at least one story. I mean, it's hard to say because I haven't reached the end yet, so maybe there would be one, but I hope there is like at least one story about the good things about girlhood, because I feel like with the summer of Barbie and the Eras tour, like we are starting to really appreciate the positives of girlhood. And so I would like to see just one story that shows being a woman in a positive light, that, you know, just about like friendship, banding together, or like, I don't know, just I want something positive. I didn't think that this whole short story collection would be the positives of girlhood. Like, I got from the back that it wasn't going to be that. I just didn't expect it to be as doom and gloom as it was, or as it has been. I'd say the first 2 or 3 stories are the worst in terms of doom and gloom. As I've gotten to the middle and like the last half of this book, they've been slightly lighter. So if you hate the first couple, maybe stick with it at least until you get to Send Nudes, the title story, and then at that point decide if you truly hate it and want a DNF, because I do think they get slightly lighter tonally. But now it's just literally just to finish it, to see if like any of the things that I want or my criticisms like come true, because it's really hard to judge this collection of short stories when I haven't read all of them, to see if there's like one uplifting one. Like, I guess maybe it would make sense structurally to have doom and gloom, slightly lighter, happy one at the end. So, or not even happy, but just like positives of girlhood at the end. And I would definitely say there's been like some positives throughout. Like, this is definitely a collection of short stories that if you want to get out like a highlighter and a pen, you could so easily like analyze these. Like, there's so much here. And there's definitely been like hints of positives about girlhood throughout the stories, or some of the stories anyway. I guess because it's dealing with girlhood / womanhood, so many of the positives have been tied up with men and the experience of how men view us and whether we're wanted by men. And I'm hoping there is like one story where that's not the case. I'm literally just gonna sit here and finish this off now because I don't have very long to go. I think I only have like another like 30 to 50 pages, if that, so I'll just finish them all out and we can talk about them at the end, and then we can pick the next book. Okay, so same position but just slightly later. I did finish Send Nudes and I did not like it. Yeah, I just don't feel like it really got any better. That's not true. Like, from the first clip that I filmed of this, when I said it was all doom and gloom, it did get slightly better. There are stories that I definitely think are gonna stay with me, but just not necessarily for like the right reasons. I guess like they're just stories that are gonna haunt me because they were just so sad, but also like thought-provoking. The ones that stand out to me, obviously like Send Nudes, I already mentioned the title story. That was quite a positive one. It was, as I said, about like a woman's relationship with her body, and I didn't hate that. I kind of enjoyed Blue Forever. That's an interesting one about like 2 stepsisters, and one is a lot older than the other, so the older one understands the circumstances of their parents getting together more than the younger one, and so it's about them kind of overcoming difficulties in their relationship as a result of it. And I feel like it very much tells a story of how women often blame other women when we should be blaming men. So that one's a standout one for me. And I also enjoyed The Bread. But those 3 are kind of the only ones that I would say I enjoyed or found like uplifting moments in them. So the stories that I feel like just leave a completely like terrible taste in my mouth and have reduced my enjoyment of this book massively were Tenderloin and Snakebite. So I will probably give this book 3 stars. It didn't really have like something at the end that was like uplifting and like positive. I think to this author the last story was probably uplifting and positive, but it wasn't what I wanted. I didn't really want to delve into lockdown right at the end. I feel like that like not really what I was going for. And yeah, I feel like there were stories that I enjoyed, there were stories that I really didn't enjoy. Overall, I would say this isn't my kind of book. It didn't really give me what I wanted from it, but I think that's probably my fault more than the author's fault. I would honestly say the description for this is maybe slightly missold, because I just feel like the blurb makes it sound more uplifting than it is. I don't want to give it less than 3 stars because I feel like it did elicit such strong emotions from me, and that is probably like the aim of the stories, and the stories aren't supposed to be happy and light-hearted, so it kind of did what it set out to do, but also I want to rate based on my enjoyment, so I feel like 3 stars is just a happy compromise here. And now we shall go into the other room and decide what we read next. So I will be having my snack next, and my snack in Epcot is the Food and Wine Festival, which is to randomize a book on your TBR. Now I had said in my TBR video that I like wasn't sure how I was going to randomize it, and I wanted to potentially mood read, and Rachel recommended that I put together a stack of like mood reads and then randomize that. So I'm gonna put together a list of what I will like I'm in the mood for, could potentially want to read, and then I'm gonna use the spinny wheel because I've developed a bit of an obsession with the spinny wheel, and that can randomize the book for me. So let me put together my mood reads and then I will bring you back for the spinny decidey. Okay, so I think I have my list. The options that I have chosen that I am like kind of in the mood for, they are all from my physical TBR, and I have chosen Powerless by Lauren Roberts, Crossed, which is in the Never After series. It's like smutty, slightly fantasy, very unhinged, like romantasy kind of books. Faebound, which I've heard good things about. I've tried to read it before but DNF'd it, but didn't like DNF it in a I don't like this way, DNF'd it in a I think I need to try this when I'm in the mood for it kind of way. And then A Tempest of Tea. I think you can kind of tell from the list that I am like really in the mood for something like fantasy, like I want like a world, I want to get lost in it. I don't want to read any of my autumn like cozy picks, but I want as close to cozy as I can get without picking up books that I'm saving for autumn. I save books for autumn all year, by the way. Like what I do, it's my favorite season, it's my favorite time for reading. I like to make sure that I'm making the most of the vibes, and so I save books for autumn for the entire year, and I refuse to read them early. So let's spin the wheel and see what we're going to be reading for the Food and Wine Festival. Right, are you guys ready? Let's go! What are we gonna be reading? What are we gonna be reading? It is gonna be Faebound. Is it bad that Faebound was like the one on here that I was less sure that I wanted? But we will read it, because that's what the randomizer does. Also, like, I have heard really good things about it. I'm just nervous because I wasn't sure that I liked it last time. It seemed kind of dark, but I didn't get to the point in Faebound where she meets the Fae. So from what I remember about Faebound, it is kind of a war fantasy, but we follow a main character and she's like a really high up like war general, and then she gets kicked out by her own kind and from the army, and she finds herself in like the lands of the Fae, and I think there's like this Fae court or this Fae ball. It sounds very enchanting and magical. The Fairy Loot edition is the most stunning thing I've ever seen in my entire life, which is why I really wanted to give it a second chance. Come on, this book is stunning, and I know people who have like multiple editions of this. It's one of their like favorite books of the year, and so I think I should at least get to the Fae like world is introduced in this book before I DNF it, and I am really in the mood for like a fantasy, so I'm hoping second time's the charm, and I'll be more inclined to try to finish it because I'm not a fan of DNFing anyway. I have no issue with people like wanting to DNF. It's not DNFing in and of itself that I have an issue with. Like, I wish I was more of a DNFer, I just really feel like if I've made a decent enough chunk in the book to know that I firmly want to DNF it, then I may as well just finish it at that point. I've already put time into it. So especially with like these prompts and wanting to stay on track, I think we should be able to finish Faebound this time around. And yeah, fingers crossed. Everybody pray to the book gods that I enjoy it this time, because I really want to know why people love this book so much. I don't know for sure I'm going to start it tonight. I feel like I need to decompress a little after some of the like horrible things and nudes got me thinking about. But if I do start reading, then I'll let you know. I'm actually like, I was unsure when Faebound rolled, but now I'm really excited about it because I really do just want to get lost in like a fantasy world. So I'm excited. Good morning guys, it is now Tuesday morning. It is very early and I am very tired. Marvin wasn't very well last night, so Jack and I were up at 3 o'clock in the morning sorting everything out, taking care of him, so we are very tired. Jack doesn't have to be up particularly early for work today, so he and the dog are still upstairs sleeping. Marvin's feeling sorry for himself and I think he's a bit worried that he's in trouble, which of course he's not. A little angel. But I am up early even though my body is really rejecting that, just out of dedication to habit setting. I've made a lot of progress with getting up early and doing something in the morning that is like purely for me and purely like creative, and I really like how it makes me feel, so I have forced myself to get up this morning because I feel like I will feel the benefit of it. And kind of one of those like sometimes self-care is doing the things that you know will make you feel better kind of things. So pulled myself out of bed, made a very strong coffee. I think I might be coming down with something, but I don't know if that's just tiredness, so we'll have to see how that plays out in the next few days. But I am very excited to get to Faebound today. It is a very rainy, miserable, horrible day. Honestly, like last night trying to get Marvin outside, it was absolutely pouring down with rain. Very autumnal weather, which actually kind of annoys me because I know as soon as it hits September, October time we'll have a massive heat wave and I'll be really annoyed about it. Like, why isn't summer summering? But it does make for a very cozy reading experience, so I'm really excited to start Faebound today and lose myself in this like fantasy world. I find when the weather's bad, I reach for fantasy more. I feel like it can be very cozy, so yeah, I'm excited for what the day has in store and I'll catch up with you guys later. Guys, I have been looking for my Fourth Wing bookmark from Yelk for months. I have not been able to find it. I'd kind of just assumed that it was lost, and I just found it in Faebound, where I clearly left off. This is what I mean by it was like a soft DNF. It was a I'm not in the mood for this kind of DNF and not a I'm actually DNFing this kind of DNF, because I left my bookmark in there. I clearly planned to pick it up again. But yeah, I'm caught up to where I DNF'd last time, and wow, did I not get far into the book. Like, it was a soft DNF to the extreme because I barely like read any of it. I don't like dislike it as much as I did the first time around, so I think it was probably a mood thing, and I've made it further already than I did last time, and I still feel like there's so much that I need to get an understanding of to decide if this is a book that I'm going to enjoy. So glad that I picked this book up again, because I think I DNF'd after like 20 pages last time, because that's where I found my bookmark, and I'm very happy that I found my Fourth Wing bookmark again, because that was one of my favourite bookmarks. Good morning guys, happy Wednesday. I very much forgot to update you yesterday. I was so tired and feeling so like down as a result of it. Like, do you guys ever get that? We are just really tired, so then you just feel sad for no real reason. So I didn't really update yesterday, but I did do a lot of reading. I got to page 152 of Faebound, so very much hoping to make more progress with this today. Would like to finish it ideally, but I have a lot to go, and I guess this is the problem with the fact that I was in the mood for a fantasy, and kind of what I meant when I said that I knew Hollywood Studios would be the fastest one for me to complete, because I knew that I had put, even without randomly generating this one based on my mood, I knew that there were fantasy books on this TBR which would slow me down. So like straight after this book we're going into a fantasy romance, so I don't know if I will finish Epcot this week. Hopefully I will this weekend. I will get plenty of reading done tonight because there's an England game on. Ugh. And yeah, it should give me a lot of time. Thoughts on this so far? I am enjoying this so much better than I did the last time. My advice would be definitely get to the bit with the fae, because it really improves from there, and I really like the direction the book is taking, and I think I'm really going to enjoy this now. I just don't love the beginning bit. The beginning bit is necessary backstory for why she's with the fae and why the events that happen with the fae happen, but I don't love it. But yeah, if you have struggled with this or DNF'd it or are unsure about it, my advice would be to read until you get to the fae and then make your decision, because I am enjoying it so much more now and I'm actually kind of hooked on the story, which should also make my reading faster today. Little Marvin check-in on this Wednesday morning. Hi. You want to say hello to the people? He seems to be feeling much better today, and yeah, happy Wednesday. I will see you after work probably, because my lunch break I have therapy. Not to be that person, guys, but I am absolutely dying for it to be autumn. Like, it's July and I'm in like a massive fuzzy sweater with my pumpkin candle on, like drinking out of my autumn mugs. Summer isn't summering, and I think we should all just accept that it's not summer this year and we should just skip and it should be September. Like, let's get to the burn months, please. I don't really have too much against summer. Every summer, every time it hits July, I do wish for it to start being like the burn months. I get the urge for autumn, so this does happen every year, but also it's just made so much worse by the fact that it's not nice weather. Like, at least if it was nice weather I could romanticize summer a little bit, but it's acting like it's autumn, but I can't actually decorate for autumn because it's July. But anyway, we're still reading Faebound. We haven't made any progress on it today, so my plan of finishing it is not gonna happen, but Jack has gone out to watch the football game tonight, so I do have a lot of like peace and quiet and just time to sit and chill and read, so hopefully really big progress can be made. We can move on to the third and final book of Epcot tomorrow. I don't think I will finish it by Friday, but I do think I'll be able to finish it by Sunday, ready for us to go to the next park for next week. So I think I'm still on track, just behind where I was last week, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm gonna get reading, and I love this edition so much. It's got to be one of the prettiest ones. Like, it's just stunning. Let's read. I would really like to put Gilmore Girls on in the background, but Netflix has finally realised that I moved out, and I just can't bring myself to actually pay for it just for Gilmore Girls, because I don't really use Netflix for much. So I'm gonna have to find something else cozy to put on in the background. Right, how much progress did I make? I am on page 221 of Faebound, which is just over halfway. Let me move my bookmark up so you can see. I'm just over halfway. I'm not necessarily done reading, but I do have a headache now. I left my pumpkin candle on too long. I don't know if anyone else gets that with like, particularly like TK Maxx, like DW Home candles, like that kind of brand of candle where it is like a particularly sweet, like fake scent. I find when I have it on too long, I get a headache. And that plus like the reading, the like working on a computer all day. So I'm very tired and I have a headache, so I don't think I'll be like making too much more progress. So we will have to work tomorrow to get the rest of this book read if I want to stay on track. I am enjoying this book more though. I'm enjoying that like the world building in this book is quite anthropological in nature. We follow our main characters, Lettel and Yiren, and they are sisters and they are elves, and they've grown up hearing like fairy tales about the fae and humans, but they have been led to believe that these are extinct, and then they've come into contact with the fae, and it's about them really having to learn like an entirely new culture, like political system, belief system, and because they're held like captured by the fae, they're just kind of forced to learn by experiencing, and the world building just feels very seamless and like anthropological, so I'm enjoying that. But the conclusion that I've come to this time around, which is kind of the same issue I was dealing with the last time I tried to read this, I just really don't like Yiren. There isn't anything about Yiren that I like. I love Pila, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I love her, and I guess she is an aspect of Yiren, but I pretty much just hate Yiren. If I could have only read this book from Lettel's perspective, I would have probably preferred it, because I just really dislike Yiren's chapters. Like, they're really good in terms of like world building and adding, and Yiren's kind of the whole reason we're in this mess. So like, her chapters are interesting, I don't necessarily skip them, but I just don't like Yiren as a person, and anything to do with like her feelings or her beliefs or her interactions with people, I'm just like, no, let's skip the world building aspects please, because I really don't care for you. And then Lettel, I don't necessarily love her, but I definitely prefer her to Yiren, and I think she has a really interesting plot at play, and I'm very much intrigued to see how that plays out. So this won't be a favourite for me. Right now it's sitting at a 3-star read. It just hasn't quite captured me. Like a very like middle of the road kind of read for me. So I am going to stop vlogging for the night, and I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow, where we have a lot of work ahead of us to get this book finished. It is 7 PM on this Thursday evening, and I finished Faebound. Do I have thoughts? I don't know. I feel a little jumbled. I would give this 3 stars, and I'm disappointed that it's not the favourite for me that it seemed to be for everybody else, and I will not be continuing with this series. I just really don't like Yiren. I think Yiren is the worst part of this whole story. If we could have had the point of views be Lettel and Fury, I would have been much happier. In fact, even if the point of views could have been Fury and Ryan, I think this book would have been much better. Like, I loved every character except Lettel and Yiren. I said before, like, I prefer Lettel, but I still don't particularly like or love her. And like, there was so much interesting about the story, and I found them really annoying. So I need to rest on it a little more. But yeah, I finished it. I finished the prompt for Food and Wine Festival. 3 stars. It did like hit the mark, like in terms of like mood reading, I guess. I just wish this had been like the real favourite that it was for everybody else, it seems. I'm very excited to go into a romantasy now, something a little bit lighter. Be reading on my Kindle, so hopefully I'll finish it sooner. And yeah, I think I'm gonna go straight in and just try to get as ahead as possible on the next prompt. Good morning, guys. I have not made too much progress on books for this readathon, but I need to get ready for the day, so I'm gonna tell you my thoughts. If I'm looking this way, it's because my mirror is this way. My parents have just been to pick up Marvin, so the house is feeling very quiet, and I am a little sad about it, but ultimately I'm ready to have my life back again. I think dog sitting Marvin is a nice reminder that I am not ready to have a pet yet. Quite like my life and being able to just do whatever I want without thinking about the care of another living being. But I've been sitting on Faebound for an evening now, and I still haven't really worked out why I don't like it, but I have worked out why I gave it 3 stars, even though my review was not that positive. there were a lot of elements that I actually really liked about this book. Obviously I didn't love the main characters, but every other character that was introduced was great, and the world building and the folklore of this story was incredible. I've already said it was quite anthropological, and I loved that. I loved how in-depth it was. It really felt like nothing I had ever read before, especially from a fae book when so many books are doing fae now. Like, this felt really unique and I really liked it. It also had an enemies to lovers, like, romance subplot. It was dual perspective. Like, it had a lot of elements that on paper I would like, but I just didn't feel like any of them really meshed that well. I didn't love the enemies to lovers. Like, it felt very fast and a bit like it wasn't insta-lovey, but it wasn't a very seamless enemies to lovers. And I felt like in the two romances for the dual perspective that we got, I just didn't really believe the depth of emotion that we got from either romance. The way that Lettel realizes she's in love is quite random and not very realistic, and I just didn't think the romance really worked. It felt like a bit of an afterthought. Whilst I loved a lot of these elements on paper, I just didn't think they worked very well. I don't know if maybe this book was just trying to do a bit too much. Like, maybe it would have worked better if it wasn't dual perspective between Yiren and Lettel, and we could have had that time to really seamlessly see the romances play out, rather than trying to do like an enemies to lovers romance and then like another romance plot as well, and try and do both of them seamlessly, whilst also having them discover this world, discover this folklore, deal with the mysteries coming out. Like, so much like good stuff in this book, but I just didn't connect with it the way that I wanted to. I didn't feel like it really like gelled seamlessly across the whole book, and that was very disappointing. But I am also now into the Book of Azrael, and I don't know how I feel about this one either. I'm holding out hope because I haven't been introduced to the romance yet. I have an idea of like who / what the romance is gonna be, but the Book of Azrael is actually kind of giving me like Guild by Raven Kennedy vibes, in the sense of the kind of love interest we're introduced to at the beginning. Like, is that same kind of vibe. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone for either of those books, but if you've like read Guild, then you'll kind of know what I'm going on about. And I didn't particularly like Guild, but I do have high hopes for this. I've seen like just high reviews like everywhere, so I'm definitely gonna give it until we get to the romance. The romance is actually like introduced. I kind of thought it had been. There was some very like flirty energy going on with a character in a fight scene, but then he died, so I guess it wasn't him. But yeah, I'm quite confused. I'm finding it really hard for my brain to like actually read the words. I don't know if I'm hitting a slump or if I'm just a bit like tired and read out lately, but it's been really annoying because I really want to read this book and I kind of like really want to get into it. So I'm like trying to read and I just find myself like not processing what is going on at all, and I really want to. And I don't know if that's a criticism of where my brain is at or a criticism of the book. I feel like I would need to know if other people felt this way, to know if like the way the book is written, it does feel a little info dumpy. I think the info dump will pay off. Like, I do think it will become more plot driven and just easier to read once the romance is introduced and we're further in. But I feel like there's so much to set up in the Book of Azrael. So we follow our main character, Diana, and she basically gave herself up to this man in order to save her sister. So she's like become a demon and is working for this man to help him locate the Book of Azrael. There are a lot of hints that they shouldn't be looking for the Book of Azrael and that it's gonna make the world end and like gonna like make things worse, but the demons are like trapped and they really want to be free. So Diana is like forced to work for this man in order to keep her sister safe, because he's like holding her sister over her head. The point I've just gotten to is like Diana is getting close to helping find the book, and she's just made like a pretty big mistake. She's turned to the man that is keeping her trapped and who like kind of scares her, and the chapter ends with her being like, for the first time ever I saw fear in his eyes. So I feel like whatever he's scared of might be the love interest, and I'm hoping the book kind of picks up from here, and that all of this like info dump to introduce like this previous war, this previous plague, why the demons wanna find the Book of Azrael, why they shouldn't find the Book of Azrael, why Diana is working for this man, why she doesn't like this man, introducing her relationship with her sister, her relationship with everybody else that she's working with, introducing like a load of characters. I do think all of this will pay off down the line, but I think it hasn't been particularly seamless in the beginning and has made this feel not an easy start to a book at all. I don't feel particularly gripped, but again, I think the romance really has the possibility of changing that. I just don't know if like the way this book has started feels particularly gripping, and if I wasn't committed to giving it a chance I would have maybe DNF'd it by now. But I'm looking forward to getting some more reading done today, hopefully. I'm quite behind on my schedule because I was waiting for the dogs to get here, and tomorrow is a busy day because Jack and I are going to our first wedding venue viewing tomorrow, so we've got to drive a little bit of a way in the morning, go view that, and then I assume I'm gonna get dragged out to watch the England final, which I really don't want to because I have no issue with the England football team. I do have an issue with England football fans, so I'm not particularly keen on doing that. I also just have so much to do, so I'm hoping that I won't have to go out to watch the football tomorrow and I'll be able to catch up on the things that I want to catch up on. Namely, I need to film a video and I really need to finish this book so that we're not rolling over to next week in Epcot. I think like the issue was having two big fantasies essentially. Like I had Faebound, which took longer than my normal romance to read, and then I'm obviously reading the Book of Azrael, which is also probably quite a big book. I also didn't have any annual leave that I took this week, so it was already going to be slower progress than the first week, and I definitely need to kind of get a move on and hopefully find the time to get this sorted now. But now that I'm ready and Marvin's gone, I can hopefully just kind of power through some of the stuff on my to-do list. So I will come back to you guys when I have an update on the book for you. Hey guys, I'm here to wrap up this vlog, and I haven't really read much of the Book of Azrael, unfortunately. I am really struggling to get into this book. It's just not capturing my attention at all. It feels so info dumpy, and I'm still gonna give it time to see if the romance can really make up for it and draw me in. But so far the fantasy I just don't care about, and it is all fantasy right now. I'm finding it so hard to keep track of characters. Like with all of the info dumping that's going on, none of it seems to be covering the characters like enough, and I feel so confused at who's who, and I'm just really struggling to like even root for the romance that I know is going to happen between the characters that I know it's going to happen with. Like I feel like I should be excited about this whole enemies to lovers kind of thing, and that should be drawing me in, but I'm just not at all. I refuse to give up because there must be a reason that people love this, so I'm gonna keep going. If the way the romance builds really like speaks to me. I don't have too much time today though. I'm hoping to get some reading done in the car, but I think unfortunately we are going to be rolling over into Epcot next week, which I didn't really want to do. It's just been a bit of a crazy weekend. I lost out on a lot of time yesterday waiting for my parents to arrive, and then today we're going to our venue viewing, and then the England game in the evening. Like I really did not want England to make the finals because I did not want to deal with this weekend. Today is just a really busy day. I'm hoping to get some reading done in the car, but I always feel really bad for Jack when I do that, so probably won't do that too much because I want to be like excited vibes about us going to this viewing. But anyway, I do hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. We read 2 and a bit books in this vlog. We read Send Nudes, which is a collection of short stories about womanhood and girlhood. I gave this 3 stars, but actually like now that I've sat with it more, I would actually give this 2 stars. Probably wouldn't really recommend this story, to be honest. I think it looks so much more uplifting and sounds so much more uplifting than it is. All of the characters in every single short story were exactly the same. It was all very much, I'm really depressed, I've had a really hard life, so I'm just gonna sleep my way through, guys, and what are the consequences of that is very much like the thread throughout all of these stories. Even like Send Nudes, which was one that I enjoyed the most, upon reflection I'm like, it was about this woman's relationship with her body, but how did she develop a better relationship with her body? through sending nudes to a man, you know, like every single character was exactly the same and dealt with things in exactly the same way and really presented womanhood in this way and really tied it to the opinions of men in pretty much every single story. So yeah, upon reflection, I give this 2 stars, and I will be updating my Goodreads review to reflect that. And then we read Faebound, which is a like fae kind of like war fantasy, but there's not too much war in this book if you're concerned about that. And we follow sisters Yiren and Lethal as they are forced to leave their home, leave their elvish kind, and end up discovering the fae realm in place of that. I gave this 3 stars. It had a lot of elements that I really enjoyed, but unfortunately I just didn't click with it. It didn't turn into a really good book for me, which is sad because I really wanted it to, and I felt like there was really the potential there for that, but the romance just didn't really hit. And I think it would have been better to have only had one romance subplot, because it became very insta-lovey and just not believable at all that these characters were in love with their partners. And then obviously you know that I maybe like 20 to 30% into the Book of Azrael. We'll be rolling this over into next week, which I really didn't want to do. I'm really hoping that this picks up when the romance starts to build, because I'm just not vibing with it right now at all. Yeah, here are the books that I read this week. It is kind of a small stack. I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog and you'd like to see more from me. If you would like to see more from me, then do please feel free to hit that big red subscribe button down below. Stay tuned for videos every single Wednesday and every single Sunday. Also, do please feel free to check me out on Bookstagram at apaigeinchapter, because there is no shortage of bookish content over there and you'll be able to see what I'm reading in real time. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week, you're enjoying everything you are reading, and there are no reading slumps in your future, and I will see you for my next video. Bye guys.